PodcastOne.com presents the Ask Women podcast. A place to dissect the female mind.
You don't know how I feel.
And explain it to men in terms they can actually understand. Boobs. Now, here's the lovely ladies of Ask Women.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Women podcast where you get real advice straight from the source. I'm Kristen Carney, comedian, host, writer, soon to be hugely famous. Here, of course, with Marnie Kinrys, best-selling author, relationship expert, and we have a man joining us again this week, Joe Prano, who's not sitting in the room with us. And he will join us
here right now.
He's not here currently, but he will join us in just a couple of minutes after Marnie and I banter.
Yes, exactly. Well, I wanted to tell you about something horrible that happened this morning after something wonderful that happened last night. So, as a mummy...
As a mummy?
A mummy.
English mom?
Yes. I mean, it's a mummy. What you want is your child to sleep through the freaking night so you can have a good night's sleep. So I tried this, it's not cry it out, but it's kind of like cry it out method. Anybody who has been a parent will understand that, where you allow your child to learn how to self-soothe so that you're not actually rocking them to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what?
Nothing. I was
like, where would you want to go with this? Because it could be like lots of things.
Yeah, no, just keep talking.
But yeah, so last night, what I did was I put him in bed and said, okay, mommy loves you, and I'm gonna be out here. You're safe. Don't worry. And then you leave for 5 minutes, let them cry bloody murder, and then after 5 minutes, you go back in, and then you say, I love you still, but I'm gonna leave again. And then he cries more, and after 8 minutes, he put himself to sleep, and I had him sleep for his longest stretch that he's ever done, which is close to 7 hours, 7 hours, which is really good. I got some sleep, so I feel like my brain is a little bit more in it today, and I actually feel like myself. But so after this great night of sleep, I'm so proud of my damn son. We're sitting in the kitchen, and I'm making my coffee, and suddenly I smell poop. And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll tend to it in 1 second.
Maybe it was just the wrong brew.
No, this is poop, okay? I could tell the difference, even though it's like breast milk poop. Anyway, so I'm like, just sit there for a second, it's fine. I have to finish making my coffee. So then I go up to him and I'm like, oh, you made a real poop, because I started seeing it leaking out.
Men are turning off the podcast
chair.
as we speak.
I know, whatever, they poop too, and so do we. It's fine. But then I realized I had given him my cell phone to hold on to and said, you hold on to mommy's phone while we go into the other room. And I lifted him up. He's covered in poop all over his back, this liquid, and it's all over my freaking phone.
Oh, God.
Okay, so then I wake up my husband. I'm like, help! That's when it's really
Wipe
serious.
This poop off.
Here, you take care of the phone. I'll take care of the child. So my phone is okay, but it's just, I still can smell this
Did you
poop.
sanitize?
I did, like crazy. As much as you could do for a phone, but it was disgusting.
Well,
phones are phone.
Yeah, phones are very important. Actually, as we were, I was gone for a few weeks ago, and my phones fell straight into a toilet at a restaurant, and I did not hesitate. Oh, I dove in, baby. Yeah. Like no one ever peed in that toilet before. I mean, it's insane. Like what you do. It's almost like I went on fight or flight mode. Yeah, and I just went boom right in the toilet, pulled it right out.
Was it fine?
It was actually fine. It was crazy, but for like that night, it was you couldn't hear volume through it and stuff like that. So I thought it was shot, and then I woke up in the morning. But I did blow it with a blow dryer.
Oh, I thought that's supposed to be bad for it.
Probably,
apparently it's good.
There was no rice anywhere.
Oh, right, exactly.
Whatever they were supposed to do. So I was like, blow dryer. Its hair looked great.
I'm sure.
By the end of this.
I'm sure. Very fancy phone.
And then it popped back into
that's
normalcy.
Awesome.
But so I had many people's poop on my phone.
You did. Mm-hmm. You did have many. But it is crazy what you will do for that cell phone.
Yeah.
It's nuts. All right.
I can't smell the poop on the cell phone, though.
Well, you didn't actually have it like swimming in poop. It's disgusting. I know. It's like
swimming in poop should never happen. It should be like sitting, like there should be no liquid, like type of
liquid. Oh, God. It's just horrible.
Reference.
Anyway, I still love my son. Although,
anyway, welcome Joe to the show. Why did you poop on her phone?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Why do men do this to me all the time? They poop on my life. Just joking. All right. Well, before we get into talking with Joe, because I wanted to dive into more of what we were talking to him about last time, I wanted to get to my Wing Girl Minute, but I haven't opened the document yet, so hold on 1 second.
Well, as you do that, this week we have the other half of the 20s versus 30s.
Oh, yeah.
We have the 30s here. But I will have to say, I had no idea that the girls who played the 20s were in their 30s. So I hope we don't have too similar of a conversation.
I know.
Because then it's just four girls in their 30s, which is super
I just
boring.
Hope that
but
they're not really in their 40s.
Right, exactly.
That's true, because we thought the other ones were in their 20s.
That's true. Good. Well, then who's the one that's really 29? I think one of them is still in there. Anyways.
Anyway, so we have Liz Benham and Deanna McDonald, and so they're going to talk to us about their dating life.
Very interesting. Well, now I am ready for our Wing Girl Minute. Are you able to recognize when a woman is attracted to you? Well, one key sign she's into you is she's looking down. If a woman looks down when she first sees you or looks down during a conversation.
At your junk.
Yes, exactly. Especially if she smiles while lowering her head. It's a very strong indicator that she's attracted to you. And that's my Wing Girl 15 seconds.
All right, yeah.
I got that from a body language book, which actually is true.
Very true.
Yeah, so if there's like a smile and she is looking down, it's like a bashful smile. That's what it looks like.
I was saying in the last episode that I'm sure everyone's aware of by now that we tape on the same day, so we're very much on that topic still. I'm really shy, so if I don't think I've ever really given out signals that I like a guy. Yeah. The only ones I've ever really given out have been just complete bashfulness. So I'm really bashful, so I don't know if I've ever really given any signs that I'm
other
into
than being
a man.
bashful.
Right.
Bashful
that's
is
literally
a sign.
the only sign I can give.
But that's a good sign.
Or just hold up a sign that says, I like you, and then quickly hide it.
Well, Joe,
Yes.
for you. So
Joe, who is the opposite, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about what signs you're giving.
Yeah, but again, that's something I think I've grown through.
Yeah.
I was really a shy. I was always the smallest kid growing up, and in high school I was like a little
grown
guy.
up around
then,
big guys.
Yeah, and then I grew, and then after I grew 10 inches in a summer.
You still had the amount of same
Yeah.
hair, though, right?
Yes,
on your arms.
exactly.
Just
And
super
then,
short and hairy.
And then I was like awkward because all of a sudden I had like grown weirdly. So it took me a long time, but now, I definitely don't have a confidence problem now. But that's something I think you can kind of train yourself to get over for the guys who are out there with a confidence problem.
Probably.
You can by buying my
definitely
programs.
Can.
Go to
Right.
winggirlmethod.com and get every single one of my programs, and you will be able to learn step by step how to actually gain confidence.
You know what's weird
great.
for someone like me is that I almost enjoy being shy. Like I have no desire to like grow through it. I've been with someone for a while and that kind of stuff, so I don't really have to. But
you're not really a shy person.
No, I'm not shy in general. I'm shy when it comes to like thinking I think this guy's really cute. Like for example, when I flew back into town, the flight I was on, I was walking, my seat was like 22E. Like I was the middle seat in the back of the plane.
Yeah.
And I'm walking and I looked horrible, and it's funny because I actually always like try to look nice on the air when I fly, just because then I feel like wherever I'm going is important enough to fly to. Otherwise, I'm like, I feel like I'm going nowhere.
I feel the complete opposite.
Yeah, me too.
No, I always try to like look decent, like old school. So this day I didn't at all.
You're going on an airplane.
Yes, I put my nicest Sunday clothes on and I crashed to the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't get ready at all. I looked horrible. I was really self-conscious, and as I walked toward my seat, I saw a very handsome head sticking over the seats, as I was walking back there. And I was like, oh God, please don't let this be the guy I'm sitting next to. Please don't let this be the guy I'm sitting next to, because he was insanely handsome. He was like Mike Catherwood territory to me.
Oh, like really cute.
Like he looked like movie star, whatever. And I knew I had the middle seat, but this head was popped over the seats in the middle seat. And I'm like, this must not be my seat or something. So thank God I'm not sitting next to him. Anyway, I get back there. Turns out I am sitting next to him. He was with people and they wanted to sit together, the window in the middle seat. So anyway, I took the aisle. The person that I thought he was sitting next to was very short, very like Filipino-ish or something.
Very Filipino-ish. Okay.
Well, she was a small Asian woman of some sense. Digging a hole here. But I didn't look directly at her. I thought it was his daughter, because it was I didn't see that she was whatever ethnicity at that point. I just saw a small child, and I was like, oh, because he had an infant with him, and I was like, oh, he's a dad, and he's got a little daughter, and he's got a very little son on his lap. And so I didn't at all start to really flirt. I just immediately got shy. My armpits got sweaty, and I was just like, this flight is going to really suck because I can't look ugly, and I already felt bad. But anyway, I looked over. I'm like, why is this small child holding this baby so often? I look over. I realize it's like a woman, and most likely his girlfriend.
Oh my God.
But anyway, basically the whole point of that story is the majority of that flight, I was very self-conscious. I was incredibly uncomfortable, and I never felt worse about myself. And so
Really?
that's just what happens when I'm really intimidated by somebody.
Now, you just stand up. So you
Yes.
get on stage in front of people.
Right.
You talk on a podcast. You're very attractive.
Well,
where does this? How did this happen? Aren't you from like upstate New York?
I'm from upstate
You're probably
New York.
the
That's where it comes
probably
from.
the hottest girl in your area code.
I'm the only girl. Everyone else is
Right.
literally
Like-
a cow.
Yeah,
The other
exactly.
women
Like,
are literally cows.
So how do you even become shy, and like why did this happen?
Well, I think
why did this happen to you?
I know, why is this tragedy going on? I think with me personally, with stand up and doing something like this, I feel like I'm in control, or I have some power. And so, when you do stand up, you're separated from the audience. So it's like, I'm up here, you guys are down there. Just let's know this barrier. But when you're in real life and there is no barrier and they don't know that I'm in the dominant position, I can't put myself there. It's really weird. It's almost like when I just hang out, like this morning, I had to be with a few people that don't really know I do stand up and don't have any idea that I'm funny at all. And I don't try to be funny around them. I feel diminutive and I don't feel funny and I don't even feel like myself. It's not until I get in the setting where I can have a little control already given to me that I feel really comfortable.
Interesting.
So,
I would
I
say
don't know.
that happens to a lot of people. They have certain places where they are extremely confident. It's hard for them to stretch that out to all areas.
But I was also picked on really badly in high school. So I think that has gone into just my social life generally. But anyway.
Well, I wanted to get into more of Kristen hating herself, but even more so, I want to talk about, well, we talk about that every episode.
We
so,
do. We need
so
to
it's
stop.
a waste of time. But I want to talk about, with Joe, what we were talking about on last week's episode.
Cheating.
Cheating.
It was last week. I barely remember. Oh, was he cheating?
Yes, exactly. I'll trigger your memory. But you were talking about how when you're sort of done with the relationship, you seem to cheat. Your eye wanders, and then you actually act on it. I would advise for the people who are listening, again, not I'm going to say I'm going to be down on what you do, to be honest. But I still like you as a person. I think
I'm down on what I do.
Okay, good. And you respect it as well. He owns it. But I think because women do this too. They plan their out, right? It's like you've decided this person isn't for you, but you want to create that safety for yourself so that you have something to fall to afterwards. And they were saying, there was some study as well, that women typically are the ones to up and leave a relationship, but usually they will flirt with other men and make sure that they have somebody else to take that person's place. Similar to what you're saying that you do. But neither are wonderfully great tactics for the other person who you're in a relationship with. And I would hope, and I understand that usually you end a relationship because you're not happy, you're not getting what you want. But just to paint a picture for the other person on the other side, luckily I've never been cheated on.
That you know of.
That I know of. I mean, exactly. They could have been exactly like you, and I would have never known. So thank you for not telling me. But typically I've heard from people that you can sense when that is happening, or there is that distance that's being created, there is the disconnect that's there between the two of you, whether it's cheating or just complete disinterest. It can mess around with you psychologically. And I'm not saying that you have to be a perfect person and you always have to put the other person first. But I would say as guidance for people, because we're going to talk about getting her back in a second. So for guidance for breaking up, when you actually decide that you're not into the relationship anymore, that's the moment to say it. You can give it a week and let it resonate with you for a little bit and see if it's actually what you want. But the fair and respectful thing to do is actually to talk to that other person as uncomfortable as it is. Because I feel like cheating is the easy way out, Finding somebody else is the easy way out.
Joe, you said that when you do end up cheating, it's like you're at the bar and all of a sudden this really hot, or whatever girl that you're incredibly attracted to kind of gives you those feelings, but you have to have those feelings beforehand.
Well, yeah, because I'm a guy, so whenever I see, I actually probably flirt more than anybody that I've ever been in a relationship is comfortable with, but that's just...
It's just your
person. That's who you are.
Yeah,
that's
who I am.
Fine.
And even if I'm talking to a guy, it's gonna be in a way
I get it.
It's fun. I'm shitting
banter.
on you. Yeah, banter, right? And then so when it's with a girl, it's gonna be flirty. So yeah, then it's the thing is when you feel that chemistry, you're just talking to a stranger who's at the bar who happens to be sitting next to you, and then you feel that chemistry while you're talking or flirting or whatever, and then you're like, this is interesting. And that's where it sort of happens for me. And
so you really seem to live in the moment.
Yeah. I think that's the thing with my relationships too, is I'm like I said before, I get pretty heavy into my relationships out of the gate. And everybody, I've never been in a relationship with somebody that I was like, I don't know, let's see where it goes. Let's just keep hanging out.
Yeah.
I could see myself marrying this person. I could see myself having kids with this person. Actually, kids probably more than marrying. I don't know how I feel about marriage, but when I look at somebody and I say, I would love this person have my child. That's kind of
That's
like
partnership.
Yeah. So, but again, like I want to make it clear because we kind of, it's cheating, but I'm not running around on my significant others. I'm not just like my relationship means nothing to me. I'm just going to cheat on people. And it's not necessarily that I'm finding the next person that like the person I cheat on them with is the person that I end up being with next. It's just a matter of being like, oh, I missed that feeling, and this person just gave me that feeling, and that was wrong what you just did, and so now you should probably get your shit and get the hell out of there before you become a cheating dog, like. So that's kind of my
puppy.
Yeah, that's kind of my process. And it's not right by any means, but it's also I don't know if it's that wrong because usually I don't let it linger for a long time. That's not always necessarily been the case, but for the most part, that's like a sign that like, hey, it's time for you to. If you're looking for if you're looking for this from someone else.
We should have the Cranberries song "Linger" playing right now in the background.
But it's interesting because, like, I am an advocate for actually both sides, not of cheating and not cheating, but for both sides of if you want to live your life for experiences and have multiple relationships throughout your time on this planet, like George Clooney before he got married now, but of where you just enjoy somebody for the good times and the good times.
Yep.
And that's totally fine if that's what you want to do and that's what you want to enjoy, and like partnership and the not the downfalls but the hardness and the work of partnership are not appealing to you. I understand that it's not appealing to you. Sometimes it's not appealing to me either. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I think that there's a way to acknowledge which type of person you are. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm really trying to say that both sides are okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be that guy who is just like, I'm not into the work. And I don't want to think, oh, this signal appeared where I'm suddenly attracted to other women. I should work on my relationship. Right? Which would happen for a lot of people. Or sometimes it's easier to just cut it off and say, I don't want to work on anything.
Now, what about, because I'm not married. I'm not. I have lived with women who I've had to break up with, or we've broken up, and then there's that higher stakes when you're with somebody and you share a house or you share a place, and then there's the higher stakes where you're married to somebody. So what's the approach? You said when you feel that, the thing is to just
have a conversation.
Yeah. What if you're married to them? You don't just go, hey, I saw a hot chick at the bar and I think I want to sleep with her. We should probably divorce and you should probably take the kids.
No, but you have a conversation about it, that these thoughts are that either I'm not getting something, or that I'm not feeling appreciated, or honestly, hopefully you have an honest relationship that you can say that in the most tactful way possible, where it's like, okay, I was out the other night, something's going on in our relationship, and I just started like seeing all these women I wanted to sleep with.
But I do know what Joe's saying is that, and you obviously would understand as being a married person, there's so much that goes into getting out of a relationship that sometimes is it worth it? Does that effort, the amount of work you're going to have to, find a new place to live, create a brand new life, find someone to, not that you immediately have to find someone, but like, if you're with someone, like, for example, my boyfriend, we're together on the weekend, essentially every single hour of every single weekend. If we broke up, I don't know what I would do on my weekends. Those are scary thoughts. I would be alone, and it's like those are really heavy thoughts to have to deal with when you're thinking, I might want to get out of this relationship, but there's so much hurt that goes into it. It's easier to stick around.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of people stick around in the relationships.
That's why people don't have the conversation.
Absolutely. I think that if more of the conversations were had, there would be things to work on. Yeah. And that you... I'm not saying every single time, but I'm saying sometimes you may switch how you feel and think. I really believe that calling the elephant out in the room, or at least the elephant that you've been thinking in your head for a long time, calling it out and talking about it just makes it not seem as freaking big as it is.
Yeah.
Like me and my husband had a conversation like this recently, just to be very transparent, just to let people know who listen to this show, just because I preach all of these things or speak about it. I've also been through the hard times. I'm still a human being, so I'm going to screw up, but I'm always trying to learn and always trying to better communicate. Like, I'm a bitch to my husband sometimes, but I know how to make up for it, apologize for it, and swallow my pride, and then have real conversations with my husband. So, after having a child, you go through a lot of things. You're really exhausted. You snap at each other. You don't really have time for the niceties, and it's as nice as it is for people to say, oh, you have to take like 5 minutes a day and just really express how much you care for each other. It's hard to remember to do that when you're freaking tired and hating that other person because you're exhausted and you have no time to think about somebody else other than your child or even yourself. And so, we had gotten into a period where we hadn't really exchanged niceties because we had so much family in town, and all we would say to each other are the things that need to be done. And we built up some resentment towards each other after like a week or two of this. And I kept thinking things in my head, like maybe we're not right for each other. Maybe it's horrible. This baby like ruined our life. Anyway, all these horrible thoughts. And when I actually finally expressed them to my husband, and I did it in a panicked manner, and he took it so well and calmly and remained unrattled. And he listened to what I had to say, and he gave his input as well. Just putting it out there made me love him again, honestly, because I got that emotion out of me. I wasn't saying it to anybody else. I was thinking it and feeling horrible about it in my head. And when I put it out there, especially to him, and he handled it so well, it's like I had this renewed faith in our relationship, and it reminded me why I love my husband and why I want him to be my partner. And actually, that's another topic to talk about. There's a big difference, I think, that maybe people don't understand or they don't acknowledge or they don't care for, is that when you do enter into a marriage, you are looking for a potential partner in life. It's very different when you're dating for fun and you want to have like a great time and have great sexual chemistry. And I know that has to be a part of partnership as well. But when you're choosing a partner, you're really looking for somebody who you can go through life with. When you have panic attacks, you want that person who knows how to calm you down, or who at least can listen to you. And it may be great that they're like a rock star in bed as well, but those are the important things for partnership, for like living out your life and a day-to-day life with another human being. Anyway, just to let you know that really announcing the elephant in the room and having some hard conversations with my husband, because he was going down that path as well, really, really helped our relationship. And we realized that we had not been saying nice things to each other, and we had only been listing off, we both been nagging to each other. That's all the time that we had for one another. So we made a conscious effort to, again, the cheesy 5 minutes a day, at the end of the day, to exchange niceties with each other and say 3 things we appreciate about each other, like Adam and Jason Capital have been telling us to do. But it really helps. It sounds cheesy, but it really, really does help. Anyway, long tangent, but my point being is that, like, there's certain times when you're like, oh, I don't want this relationship anymore.
Yeah,
and certain times
in
where
your
I want
head
to work
when you
on
should
it.
have a conversation to make things better, or when you should have to break up.
But have you in these short-term relationships? Not real short. They're like a few
long.
years.
Oh,
They're actually longer.
I mean,
do you work on things as well?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's when you really know, especially if you work on something and then the same issues come up.
Right.
Like when you have that conversation and people cry but you make up, and then you have this great makeup sex, and then everything's great for a week, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, yeah, it's still okay. And then a month later, you're having the same conversation.
Yeah, right.
That's when you're like, what's really like, and that's the feeling that really gives me that kind of panic. Like
the rest of my life.
Yeah. Go find, cause it's like Groundhog Day, you're just like, oh my God, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's something for me as well. Like I found I have that feeling in relationship after relationship where I'm like, wow, I'm having the same problem here as I did last time. And
Maybe it's you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think about that all the time.
You can tell that you get a little bored with the girl.
Yeah.
That's it. You want another high. It's like you're seeking kind of that high of that.
And I think there's something, I mean, again, I'm just my own, that, I'm a very specific case. I do comedy, and that's a thing with girls. Like when you work at night and not during the day, and when you make this much money instead of this much money, and like, so it's definitely part of my existence that is just my own, that causes certain frictions. But my thing is like if you say you're into this, and then 6 months down the road you're not into it, it's like, man, how does this keep happening? And I keep, I keep finding myself in the same situation. But when it keeps happening within your same relationship, when you think you fix it, you talk it out, and then it happens again, that's probably a sign, like, 3 strikes and you're out. Like, maybe just move on.
Yeah, maybe not the right partner for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to wrap up, but I want you to come back on our show because I like talking to you. You have
Makes
a lot of
one of us.
Yeah, but we have the other half of the 20 versus 30s on our show. We have the older half, the older and more boring.
But they're all the
half.
same age.
I know. Well, actually. No, they'll tell us how old they are when they come onto the show. But they're very cute girls.
I'll tell you if they're older.
They're very cute girls, and hopefully they will have great information to share with us. But we will be back after these messages.
Okay, so you're listening to Ask Women, which means you're probably not getting enough or getting any. Well, let's go with enough. And I bet you'd like to get more, right? Well, here's how you do it. Go to adamandeve.com, and they'll give you more with 10 free gifts. First, you'll get a sexy surprise for her. Second, a specially selected toy for him. And third, a little something we know that you and your special other person will enjoy. Plus, you'll get 6 full-length adult DVDs. Yeah, adult DVDs. Which brings us to number 10, free shipping on the whole order. So what do you have to do to get your 10 free gifts? It's not hard. Well, at least not yet. Just go to adamandeve.com and select any one item. It could be an adventurous new toy, a sexy piece of lingerie, anything you desire. And enter the code FREE93 at checkout. You'll get 10 free gifts if you enter the code FREE93. Go check out adamandeve.com today. Select one item, get 10 free gifts, including free shipping when you enter the offer code FREE93. That's FREE93 at adamandeve.com.
Hey, it's Emily from the Sex with Emily podcast. My podcast is all about helping you get the relationship and sex life you deserve. For over 10 years, I've helped millions of people get what they want in and out of the bedroom. On my show, you'll learn sex tips, relationship tips, and I guarantee you will be more confident, get more, and give more pleasure, and have better sex just by listening to my show. That's Sex with Emily on Podcast One. That's ONE.
You're listening to the Ask Women podcast, a Podcast One presentation.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Ask Women podcast. So we're here with the other half of 20s versus 30s. We have Liz Benham. Hey Liz.
Hello.
Hey. And then we also have Deanna McDonald. Hey. Thanks for coming. So last episode we chatted with your counterparts about 20s versus 30s, and so we're kind of going to do the same, but maybe try to switch it up a little bit so it's not super repetitive. I mean, not that it's an endless wealth of information.
Yeah. Well, actually, the interesting thing is that you're all at different stages in relationships or in the dating phase. So where are you guys at? So Liz.
I am actually pretty new into a relationship, just like a few months or so.
Okay.
How's it going?
It's going. It's going really
I don't know
great.
if that's a good question to ask. It's like I saw.
She's still with him.
Well, I don't know. He's all right.
I saw a married couple that they just got married a few months ago. I went to their wedding, and it's like, hey, so how is it? Like I do that,
So
and
how's
it's
it
so
going,
awful to ask them, and then they're like,
It
was okay, I guess.
Good.
Yeah.
We're still there.
The same.
Right.
Equally as miserable.
Right. It's going really well. It's awesome. It's still that like newly dating.
How did you guys meet?
We met on Tinder.
Oh. Okay. The same
I know.
Aaron.
What's that?
Same as
Oh
Aaron.
yeah, same as Aaron. Yeah, Aaron and I both. Yeah,
Same
she
guy?
met-
Just kidding.
Same
Yeah.
guy. We're all really happy together. No, it was funny because she met her boyfriend first, and I was super skeptic of Tinder. Like I hated online dating, the thought of it, and I just was like, no, I'm going to be my whoever I'm dating, like in real life, blah, 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 whatever. And my friend...
She was actually the last person I ever thought would get Tinder.
Ever.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought
my
it was
roommate
just
is
so
super
stupid.
conservative, and she had it before.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty funny.
So what was it on Tinder? Was he attractive, or was it something that he said, or?
Yeah, well, it was funny. It was kind of funny because he is actually in the sketch that I had seen a few months previous to being on Tinder, and it's ironically about online dating. And
fun.
so I had seen it. We have a mutual friend, and it's this series called Online Daters, and it's really, really funny. And a friend of mine I saw
You're
on
only allowed to
Facebook.
plug one thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Chill out,
I mean,
Liz. We haven't gotten to 20s versus 30s yet.
But it was just funny because like that's what it was about, and I was like, oh, I think I've seen this sketch before, and I like went through his pictures. I'm like, oh, that's that this is the guy from that sketch
That's crazy.
I'd seen.
It's a small
and so
world
it was
on
kind of
Tinder.
a funny, like, weird, ironic kind of thing that happened, and or coincidence, whatever the word is.
Did he know the 20s versus 30s?
He did not. No, he didn't.
So he had the upper hand for a few minutes.
I know. Yeah,
Oh, you know my
So you're like,
web series.
bam, 1 million
well, fine.
viewers.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
suck it.
Well, I'm at the podcast, so
Exactly.
It was really funny because we asked Aaron and Marissa what about them, like how did you guys choose who was going to play 30s and who was going to play 20s, and they said it was kind of just a given because it's almost like you guys
Oh, Liz and I
act a little-
decided. We wrote the rough draft and we had our names in.
we were like, it was Liz and Deanna as the 30s.
so you just knew, but I'm kind of getting the same sense that not that they were immature in any sense, and it's not that you guys seem older, it's like a different air.
No, you can say it.
No, I promise. It's like a different air around you guys, you know.
We're definitely more probay like 30s.
You seem like old hags.
The 30s.
Yeah.
We've
The video.
embraced 30, actually. The other two fight it a little more. I think we're very comfortable in the 30s skin.
Yeah, I am too. I really am. I feel like I've been 30 since I was 12.
Yeah,
No, I really
right.
do. Like when I was 20 years old, I like didn't want to go to clubs and I didn't want to go hang out at parties.
But there's more to that.
There is more, but there is more. But I always wanted to hang out. I grew up with older siblings and older cousins, so everyone was always older, and so I always wanted to get to that next level, and I never really cared to be in the moment. But anyway, back to you guys. Sorry.
Well, I want to hear more about what it was about this guy that made you want to see him, other than being in a sketch that you know.
Yeah, I mean, I
date him.
I thought he was. I thought like it's such a superficial website, so I did think he was really cute, and I guess he thought I was cute, so we matched, and then we just kind of started messaging, and I thought it was just really cool that like we had that like same thing in common, like we both do like sketch comedy kind of stuff, and he's a comedy writer, which is what I do, and it was just kind of like these little like fun kind of.
You have worlds
similarities.
that are similar,
Yeah. So that kind of like piqued my interest, and then we went out and just kind of like laughed a lot, and had a similar sense of humor, which I think is so important, or at least for me. This kind of like went from there, and it's been good.
And Deanna, you're single?
I am.
And is that like a chosen path right now, or have you chosen to be pathetic?
Yeah, I've chosen to be alone the rest of my life. I don't know. Yes and no, I think. Sometimes I don't know how to answer that, I guess, without I guess it's because I want to work on a career that's not very easy.
Yeah.
I don't experimentally date a lot. I could not take to Tinder the same way she did and Aaron did.
So you're not on Tinder?
I've tried it. I really, really didn't like it.
Yeah.
what didn't you like about it?
I think it's really hard for me to just match and have a connection by just looking at pictures, which I know the next step is then messaging, but then
I thought it was dick pics.
Yeah, that too. I actually asked them to send that to me privately. But
Nope.
I don't know if Tinder will let you do that. I don't know what the...
has to be on their Facebook page, I think.
Yeah, I think, Facebook doesn't allow that.
No
which
way.
is such a bummer.
Yeah.
But it was... I'm really bad at that very initial get to know you, coming up with questions. It's a lot easier for me in person. And so when I have to do it in a messaging format, I just didn't like. I would get bored.
You're a writer. That's interesting.
I know. I don't like small talk, I guess, is the best way for that.
Yeah.
Like the get to know you. What do you do?
So-
where are you from? And it just becomes very stilted conversation, especially if the guy isn't really offering much. And they
So
give you the
what
same
questions
thing.
would
It can
you
get
prefer?
stilted in person, though, right? With the kind
Yeah.
of what do you do, kind of.
But you're drinking then. So.
That's true.
You can drink while you're using Tinder. That's totally fine.
Hey, you're 30. You should be drinking.
Yeah.
a lot.
I'm much better at it when I'm drinking. I guess I could be drinking when I'm messaging.
Yeah, I'm
sure
I
that's how
also
most people
have
do
gotten
it.
into I'll forget that I have it. And I don't know if any of you have been on Tinder, but if you don't respond right away, I think the guys get their feelings hurt and they delete the match.
Oh, yeah.
So I sometimes would forget that I had it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let me go back on and log in," and then I realized most of my matches were deleted because I didn't respond.
That's hilarious.
My sister was just here
I would give
recently.
someone 5 minutes. Like, all right, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Delete.
And that's the truth. You know what? It would have been the same way if it were me, if I had said something and they didn't respond right away, I probably would have gotten really pissed. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, it's like the unfollow on Twitter. Oh, you want to follow me back?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, unfollow.
So, actually, I have a funny story. So Carla, who's my au pair, she uses Tinder, and she tells me all these great stories. I actually just made a video with her that I'm going to put up on my YouTube channel. And it's about, she was out at Bungalow in Santa Monica the other night.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, she's cooler than I am. She was like, yeah, exactly. So I don't know why she was expecting this not to happen, but she was sitting there, and this guy came up and he said, "Oh, are you on Tinder? I think we swiped each other."
Oh my God.
And
That's
then,
like a new go-to
this
line.
is to her friend, and her friend's like, "Oh, I don't remember you." He's like, "No, this is your name." Like, he started like telling her everything about her, and she's like, "Okay, I guess we did." And then he started like touching her weirdly and like saying like, "How come you didn't respond back?" Anyway, it was just being like really emotional and sort of angry at her. And then they finally just started talking amongst themselves because he
murdered
wouldn't
her.
get the message to leave them alone. And he said, "You know, I'm rich, right?" And they're like,
Yeah,
like,
don't go to
had you
Bungalow.
said I have a big penis, it would have changed the conversation. But no, you said you're Brit. No, I'm just joking. But like, they were like, "Oh, that is disgusting. That's horrible." Anyway, that's somebody, taking that, deleting it to the next level and being really angry about it.
I guess I get it. You get your feelings hurt pretty much because you are looking only at pictures at this point. So if somebody deletes you, you're just like, what?
What did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Did he stare too long at my nose and then decide like that wasn't his nose? Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is that, the normal chit chat is like boring for you. It's right.
I'm very
It's not
connection based, I
Yeah,
guess.
you want to have something real.
I need that sort of personal interaction that when I'm messaging somebody, or at least when I found, I've done a little, very, very little online dating in the past, and then with Tinder, I'm sort of missing that, I guess. It's just not, I don't get excited about it. I remember when she was giving me advice about it, she's like, well, you have to be excited if you match. And I don't think I've ever been excited. Like, she's like, you have to want them to,
Right,
swipe
you're
and
missing
like
the
accept
first
you. And I was
step of
like,
it.
I don't really care if they do. Though, like that was the whole problem was I didn't care whether or not they liked me. And so,
well, what about, because it sounds like you like meeting people in person.
I do.
Instead.
That's good to know there's people out there that still do.
Right.
Yeah.
But so
I'm not against it. If I could do it, I mean, I was on Tinder, so I was kind of hoping something would happen. It just doesn't seem to hit me the same way that it works for a
So
lot
when
of
you
people.
are in person and you are interacting with people, are you excited then?
Yeah,
And you happen to have a click and a
they're not
connection?
creepy, and
Well, do you like a banter like Joe
I like
talks
banter,
about
yeah.
bantering with women?
and that's that can come out in messaging. I know it did for her. Being a comedy writer, I need to know that is there.
Yeah.
Somebody who can banter back and forth and think on their feet. And that's harder to tell over messaging unless the person really is in comedy. But, there are certainly people who aren't in comedy who can do that.
So for you, when you do meet somebody, right, and it is in person, what is it for you that happens in the interaction where you're like, okay, there's something here. I'm clicking with this person. I'd like to know more about them. I'd like to see them. I want them to ask me for my phone number. What is it that you're looking for to happen?
Gosh, that's so hard to. It is that as cliche as this is, it is the connection. It is a certain chemistry that you're sort of excited to banter with them, and you want to see where it goes, and you want to know more. So suddenly the small talk is okay, and it's not as awkward because there is a connection there. I think that is.
So you are okay with
So
small
basically,
talk.
what we got from
Sometimes.
Marissa and Aaron, basically the same thing. It's just chemistry, and I think that's what it all boils down to. So last episode, we were really trying to ask them, what does it look like on your end when you're feeling chemistry? Because sometimes guys really can't read it. They think there's chemistry when you think there isn't.
And I have a question for Joe in 1 second, but I want to hear what you have to say. Like, what are the signs that you give that says there's chemistry? Keep going.
You know what? It's that banter that you talk about. It's if that's easy. If I complained about the small talk, but if that's easy, if you can do it and it's fun and you're laughing, I think that's chemistry. And sometimes I've mistaken a very good friendship chemistry for a romantic chemistry, but I mean, it all sort of starts in the same place, and you just sort of decide later on, maybe this is just friendship, maybe this is something else, but it is that click where you can just keep talking and bantering with each other and making each other laugh when you're just getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Does it look different on you when you are looking at a guy thinking, oh, I would want to date you versus I would want to like go shopping with you?
Sure. I mean, it's that stereotypical, like, laughing at every single thing he says and kind of looking like an idiot because he's not really saying anything that funny.
Yeah.
And, like, you're just smiling.
Which sucks because you're probably like, I'm always funny. So that's so confusing for you, right?
No, I mean, it's
for guys. Like, for guys, they're just like, I don't know. You're laughing, and I think I'm saying funny things.
Yeah. I mean, it is confusing because I feel like there are times where, like, I've really clicked with a guy who I thought was just genuinely hilarious, and, like, I just, like, want to be his best friend.
Right.
And, like, I probably am laughing, like, a similar amount as to somebody who maybe I would have chemistry with. So it's... I'm really sorry, guys.
No, but these are the things that I want people to hear because this is the honest truth.
Yeah,
that it does get very confusing. What I was going to ask Joe is, do guys care as much about chemistry? And does from what they're describing and from the 20-year-olds, like what they were describing, is that of equal importance to men? And do you notice those things?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, to me, it's the only thing that's important. Obviously, the guy. It's kind of become a thing where the majority of approaches at a bar or in person, guys kind of instigate them more. So I think guys are saying, "Oh, I like how that girl looks," right? Before I even walk up. Like, yeah, you might have chemistry with somebody that doesn't catch your eye, but you're never going to know because you're not going to walk up and talk to them. But then once you've already decided, I like how that person looks, I'm going to go talk to them.
You know why you're approaching.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Is now if you have if the conversation goes and if you have chemistry and if there's laughter and if there's playfulness and if there's a little bit of making fun of each other and
Well, that's actually interesting because we were talking a little bit about that on the last episode about intention, and it is that is really okay. So the intention, like for a man, is already I'm approaching you because of
I'm not like, hey,
approaching
we have a bowling team and we have to have one girl, so you look like a strong right arm.
But it's true.
Like,
but
I'm here to potentially date you, have sex with you, whatever whatever may the intention isn't always very that specific, but like sometimes you're definitely wanting to know them and meet them and talk to them and have something happen.
Yeah.
Other than
Yeah, exactly. So for you, I can ask you, what are the different things that you notice of a girl who's like, yeah, okay, I'll be on your bowling team versus like,
right.
like let's skip bowling.
Well, I think it's kind of them matching your
looks.
As long as you're both 8s, it's fine.
Again, it's kind of like I said in the last episode, like a tennis match. Like they have to be able to hit it back over the net, but also like. Sometimes I don't even play tennis, by the way, but sometimes you hit it really hard and then they got to come back with a hard one, and then you drop a soft one and they've got to come. So it's like this roller coaster where it's going to go up and down. It's going to be flirty and it's going to be a little like animosity, and then there's going to be like a little sexiness to it, and then there's going to be this, and knowing that they're along for the ride and that they're taking it in the direction they want it to go to, and just feeling comfortable where nothing's forced. And if you have the courage to take it into a sexual place, then they go along with it. But maybe there's a way that they deflect that, but it's still cute and it's still funny and it's still, witty and it's still intelligent.
So if they deflect it, does that mean that they only see you as a friend?
No, I don't think so. I think of like a guy's...
I think that's part of the game.
Yeah, and I think most guys probably go to that earlier than they need to.
I think so too.
Probably most of them are deflected in some sense because it's like, hey, whoa, we were just doing the flirty, like make fun of each other thing, and now we're already like
not ready for that. Yeah,
like, we don't need to talk about positions and stuff, right? But that's the thing, knowing that when you like. Sometimes when you do make that move, or you make a leap to something that maybe you're not sure is she going to be comfortable with, but she goes along with it, you're like, oh, we are on the same page. This is like, we're doing this together. I'm not pushing my agenda. She's not pushing her agenda. We are connecting. So I think chemistry, once you start talking to somebody, is the only thing. And now, obviously, I think girls are different, and I think some guys are different too, where they want to know what you do and how old you are and do you want a family and all that stuff. But I think my advice for people is let all of that sort itself out and just focus on that chemistry right out of the gate. And then like without that, none of those other questions really matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But so focus on the chemistry and getting that, and then maybe there's things that'll take her out of the mix.
Is it true that because a lot of guys would say, girls are like, oh, I just like him as a friend. And this is like a friend zone type of conversation. But girls will say, oh, he's just like my buddy. Whereas guys would say, like, why would I just want to be friends with a girl? Like, is that true?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I love having guy friends, but I didn't realize that they didn't love having me as a friend.
They're like, I don't like you.
I have friends who are girls, but it's you don't come to be friends with a girl in the same way that it's like, oh, I wanted to have something more with her, but it didn't work out. So now we're just going to be friends. Like that's not like a girl that you're friends with is maybe it's your buddy's wife's friend.
Right. That's how you have just like a
and you're
friend.
like, oh, we have fun and we all go out together and we drink and it's fun. But like, I'm not attracted to you. You're not attracted to me, or maybe one of us is, but we know the other one's not.
Right.
But you're cool, and we can hang out and do all that stuff. But the idea of a guy approaching a girl and he's interested, and she's like, I think we're better as friends. He's like, I think we're better if you're dead.
Yeah,
like,
I
hate you now. I definitely don't want to be your friend.
Kind of because that's what your intention is. Well, what do you guys think after hearing that?
Is it depressing?
That's really depressing.
Yeah.
It's funny to think that because it's exactly what you said. You know, you think you have all these guy friends. Like, well, wait a second, do they even want to be my friend?
No, right?
Is it? Yeah, probably not.
That lying in wait until
right.
And I think that's like where when in relationships it gets tricky because if you enter a relationship thinking you have like 4 guy friends here. And all of a sudden you're like to your boyfriend, oh, I just, I have my friend Dan. I just want to hang, all of a sudden it's just like blow up because he's thinking obviously Dan's not your friend because he just wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
Like guys know that innately.
Right.
Yeah. Like if I had and I do, I have girls who are my friends, but in my relationship, I have to have an explanation for that.
Yeah.
Like, why are you? What? I don't understand. Well,
you don't want to sleep with her? Why? How?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I wanted to sleep with her friend in college, and so I hung out in their group a lot. But then she actually had somebody else, so then we actually just became.
And she's
friends.
a lesbian.
You just ended up being that weird guy hanging in their group.
Yeah. There has to be a backstory for why I think a guy's friends with a girl, or else a girl's going to be like,
how come you never wanted to be with her if you're so close?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
It's such a good connection. I know.
Or you were with her. And like, I'm also still friends with people that I was in a relationship with and I'm no longer in a relationship with. I have great relationships with some people that we broke up and we're still totally friends. But that's also like girls.
I feel like that's much harder to explain.
Yeah, that's much harder to explain. And some girls just won't accept that or get it. Like, oh, your ex-girlfriend and you just want to be friends with her. It's like, we both agreed this is like not for us. And but we totally get along or we wouldn't have dated in the first place.
Have you guys ever had that situation where you're with somebody who is friends with their ex?
Not like friends. I mean, like they get
or even had a really close girlfriend
that is still
in.
I certainly,
like a friend
I don't know.
That's in their life. Maybe they haven't dated
I feel
them.
like I know a lot of guys who are really close with, like, have good girlfriends or are really close with women that they've. I don't know about relationships, but maybe dated. I don't know. Like we have friends. Even at work that are like that hang out with women that they've dated.
Well, the reason that I'm asking is I want to know what it would do to you in your relationship if your significant other was really good friends with a girl or really good friends with an ex. How would that make you feel?
I really don't mind like them being like a guy being friends with girls because I thought I had guy friends.
You don't.
I guess I don't. But like I don't think it's really that weird to like go out if it's I think it's a lot about trust and like if it's just a friend then like go for it. And I think it would be weirder if it was an ex. Just even if it didn't work out for whatever specific reason, like there obviously was a connection there at some point. Like maybe it's just because I've never been in that situation before. But I feel like that would be harder for me to understand than like just friends. Because I mean, one of my best friends is a guy, and like there's like no sexual tension.
Yeah,
well,
but that happened.
I don't think. I don't think.
I mentioned this before when I dated a kid, and he talked about
dated a kid.
He was a child.
Can we talk a little more about
that?
that?
A lot about cartoons.
Exactly. This is a totally different topic.
Hey, it's a progressive world we live in, and I'm just going along with it. No, I say this kid because he was kind of at the time like he was like 21, and just at that time seems like a kid. But anyway, he talked about his girlfriend from high school all the time. And he had her artwork on the wall, and I was like so naive, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty artwork," And then when we broke up, they ended up dating again, and then they've been together ever since.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah. So I think I'm personally like wary of that, but I think it's good.
Yeah.
Like my current love interest, my boyfriend I've been with for 6 years. Opposite of love interest, disinterest, I should call it. But he has some girlfriends from like college and stuff that I'm not intimidated by because they're married and they have like kids and stuff. But it'll be like, I talked to my friend Carrie and I'm prettier and like much skinnier and whatever. But I think there is like, I think it even though I'm totally comfortable with it, when he brings it up, he's like, I talked to Carrie today. I'm like, oh yeah?
Oh, yeah, why didn't you talk to me?
What'd you say?
What did Carrie say that I can say?
And then I kind of go through my head like, this is totally fine and acceptable.
But you're trying to be like the, like you
cool
said, progressive woman, and like you're cool girlfriend. Like, I'm not intimidated. Like, go ahead. Tell me what Carrie said. No, I'd love to hear what she said.
Tell me all about
her
it.
thoughts.
And then what did she say? And then what did he say?
You know what? I'd like to talk to her. What's her number?
Let me just see the
Carrie
difference.
and I can be friends.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a hard space because it's true. Like I feel like, as a woman, you do always want to be seen as this like perfect girlfriend or a perfect wife or perfect girl that you're dating. And like you do have these contradicting messages that are going on in your head where there is like a little bit of jealousy.
Do you think this is something that gets easier in your 30s or worse in your 30s?
Oh, that's good. Tie it back.
Full circle.
You know what? I don't know. I can't say that I've ever really experienced a serious situation where I was with somebody and he was really close with an ex other than just friendly or Facebook friends. But I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with, and this may sound naive, but like who you're with and how they make you feel about it. Like there's certainly like I know I remember someone that I used to work with years ago and she was engaged and her fiance was just a total dick. It was one of those situations we were all like,
get out.
You should not not be with this guy. And he was really, really close with his ex to the point where we would hear about trips that he was taking to Vegas with his ex, and they were just staying at her aunt and uncle's place. What? And it was just so weird. And a situation like that, I mean, absolutely, I would be really nervous about that.
And this was a long time ago? Was she younger? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this probably 6 or 7 years ago. I haven't kept in touch with her. But whereas I've been with guys just in a dating sense that will talk about their exes or maybe still hang out with their exes, but they've always made me feel like it was like they were just friends. And maybe that is naive, who knows, but like I never felt sure. I had those questions like, so what did you talk about, what did you guys do, like tell me about your relationship. But I never felt threatened because they never made me feel like I had anything to worry about in that sense. And so and maybe that is just getting older and guys getting more mature as well. Like,
well, actually, that would be my next question. What's the way to relay that information to a woman? If you are a guy who's like, I don't want to sleep with my ex at all, I have no interest whatsoever, we're just friends, how do you relay that information to make women be more comfortable with it?
I would say probably not really talking about her all that much. Yeah. If you're like,
don't mention her all the time.
Yeah. If you're like even if you are super close, like, I talked to so-and-so today and she said this, but like, I want to know what you think about it. Like kind of like bringing her, like the person you're dating, like making it seem that like, even though this person said this, like, who you're dating should be the person that you should be, getting
doing those things.
Talking things over and like getting their opinion on stuff. Like that's the person you should be comfortable with and talking about. So I feel like it's like, it shouldn't be like something you have to hide or whatever. But I think just making sure that person knows that it's like, you're like, I'm more interested about what you have to say about it, even though I talked to this person.
And
I think from the guy's side too, the person that we're in a relationship with, having confidence is so important.
Oh my God!
Because if there's a little bit of like, you can tell that there's jealousy from her about your ex or about this girl that you're friends with, suddenly, and I don't think it's conscious, but what it sets inside of us is like, oh, you're worried about her? Do you think she's prettier than you or better than you? And then you start looking at her like, is she? Like, should I be still with, you know what I mean?
Right,
so it's
right.
Like
you put those thoughts back
having
in there.
confidence of just being like, great, you're friends with your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I'm awesome. She's
Right.
your ex-girlfriend.
I find that incredibly attractive.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the times that like my boyfriends had insecurities about me going out to do stand up and stuff is I couldn't find more gross.
Yeah.
And I'll say that to him. And so it's cool when he's just like, all right, have a good show or whatever. When
Yeah.
he gets back and he's like, how was your set? Rather than like, who was there? Who'd you talk to? What'd you do? And I'm like, ew.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah. It's so hot when,
It's much more attractive.
being in your,
Yeah.
of course. And
'Cause
just
you're
like being
worth-
supportive and, you know. And,
Yeah.
Because
Like,
jealousy is not attractive.
No,
which
not
is
at
a
all.
total, like, it's something that I think you think when you're younger. Like, jealousy means they care more, but really it's not. It's
Right.
not at all.
Yeah.
It's
It's
funny.
more of a reflection
I
on
think-
themselves when
yeah.
you're younger. And then when it gets
Absolutely.
older. I mean, or when you do get older, it's even a worse reflection on yourself.
I know we have to get to God damn it.
Overanalyze
this.
this segment.
But I do want to make one comment because I even noticed that difference in myself between 20s and 30s. So I met my husband when I was 23, 24
Wow.
years old.
Yeah.
And now I'm in my 30s.
Nice.
And like, I used to be very jealous, not of his ex-girlfriends, of his friends. And just like, because I would think, okay.
Of his male friends.
Of his male friends. Because, like, he would expend his energy with them and he would sit on a couch watching TV with me, which was very nice and loving. He's older. In their 30s, they like to sit at home and watch TV.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s, wanted to go out and have
like
fun.
to do that all the time.
Yeah. So, but that for me was connection, like going out and having fun. So
Yeah.
it was like, but you want to do the fun things that I want to do with your friends. It was
Yeah.
very confusing for me. And I would spit out bits of jealousy. And I obviously know it's very unattractive at that point. But in my 30s, I'm like, go with your friends. Like, I need a night to myself.
Oh my
as
God,
well.
absolutely.
Have fun.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think that's a difference men can see maybe dating a girl in her 20s versus her 30s is that she's less clingy. So if you're a guy who doesn't
sure.
want a woman clinging on you, I think going for a woman in her 30s
Or
is amazing.
50s. I mean, if it keeps getting better as you get older, why
Right?
not aim
Yeah.
for the
Go for
sky,
it,
right?
right?
I want to ask one question because we did not do overanalyze this last time, but I want to get to overanalyze this. Are you guys ready to answer a question?
Ooh, okay, let's do it.
Okay. All right, here
And
is
beat.
the question. Okay, you all put out. Sorry, you all put out. You all put on. Yeah. Next one. Next
That's
thing.
on my Tinder profile,
that's all
actually.
Yeah, exactly. You all put on a worthwhile podcast every week. Worthwhile. It's very much appreciated as it gets addictive to listen to with a bunch of laughs included and various stories and experiences shared from you all. Keep it up. I have two quick general questions to ask, which apply to a lot of us men, including me. The girls that I like and experience 1 to 2 dates with, this is like what we're talking about before, never seem to feel anything for me. But the girls that I'm not interested in seem to be interested in me. Is there a cause or solution to this? I realize that not everybody is going to like everybody. Once one has created attraction or interest from a girl, how do you keep it going from in the short and long term? How do you keep that attraction going? So after 1 to 2 dates, it fizzles. Something has happened, or a girl says, not for me.
I think you put too many cards on the table to begin with, and I think that's when it fizzles because it's too old too soon, too much information too soon.
I don't know. I was talking about this actually the other day. I find that we always talk about liking the chase or liking sort of the mystery of it. If it becomes too easy right away, like, oh, well, I got him.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
bored.
explain what too easy looks like. Like, what does that mean? Like, how do you know when it's too easy?
Too much
You know,
communication.
there's a guy that I went out on a couple of dates with a couple years ago where, I mean, it was really excited. I met him and then we were texting and it was really exciting. And it took a while for us to go on our first date. I think schedules were just not aligning. So we were texting for a few weeks. And at first it was exciting. And then it just became very like, well, I know he's going to text me back. And, you know, I know he's going to answer every text and he's going to call me tonight. And then by the time we got to our date, I was like, I'm bored. Like I have him. There's nothing left here to sort of figure out and I don't mean that guys should be assholes in return and just like not answer your texts or just be standoffish, but you do want at the beginning that element of, oh, does he like me? Yeah. I really like him. How does he feel? Like that sort of like mystery in the beginning of a relationship when you're just starting to date, as torturous as it is and as much anxiety as it gives you, you kind of need it to build like that. You need that angst to build something.
The best thing for me when I had dated someone was that they had they barely ever updated their Facebook page and had like 2 pictures of themselves.
So
and I was like, Like he must be so busy and cool.
Yeah,
he doesn't have time.
He doesn't have
And
time
so
for
it was like
social
this-
media.
No,
Yeah.
but that's an interesting statement because I always tell guys that they have to remember that they existed before they met this girl, so that they should tend to the rest of their life 1st, and not where it's like playing a game. And you're like, oh, you're secondary. I don't care about you. But the fact that what I hear you saying is this guy has ignored the rest of his life to be able to communicate with me and respond to me whenever I want him to, and that's really not very attractive. He doesn't have anything else going on except for me. I'm the most exciting thing. Which you're like, okay, that's
like
great.
Which is true because at
It's
the
so
same
nice.
time, like I'm jumping at every text and I want to answer every text. So it's I'm sorry, guys. It's really confusing because, you know, like we want you to text us all the time, but when you sort of withhold for a couple hours or you make it a little bit harder, I mean, you do need that angst in the beginning.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's so torturous. And at the same time, I've
need
had
it.
it.
It's necessary. Yeah.
I had this one client.
Necessary evil.
I had this one client that I worked with. We did some Skype coaching with each other. And he contacted me first and said, you know, I'm having trouble with approaching. I'm not getting in dates, blah, blah. We had one session. He was able to get a lot of dates after the one session with each other. Next, he wrote me a couple of weeks later or like even a month later. And he said, you know, okay, I'm getting lots of first dates, but I'm not getting second dates. I don't know what's going on. So we talked on the phone and we realized shortly after that he would over-text afterwards. He'd be doing exactly what you're saying. So I said to him, next time that you want to text a girl back immediately, text me and I will be your outlet so that you can get that off of you.
Absolutely.
And then you can text back a few hours later when you're like, oh, I actually never texted that person back. So he said in an email to me a few days later, I did one better. Whenever a girl that I liked would text me, I would throw my phone behind the couch so that I would have to go dig for it. And then allowing him to go dig for it is like, okay, taking that pause and not just instantly responding to that person and fulfilling that need, that like, I have to write her back.
Me, like when I'm on a road trip, I'll put the food like in the back seat and I'll be like, whatever I want. It's like a lot of work and I'm like going to get in an accident to get it.
Right.
It's not so easy.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I feel like both parties are this way, and like it's hard because I feel like there's a sense of that you think like, oh, if I don't like seem interested, like I'm gonna lose them, they're gonna lose interest in me. But it's usually the opposite. Like, it's like you said, like the ones I'm not interested in like me, and the ones that I'm interested in don't like me. Because I feel like it sucks, but it's like if you can almost keep that like same like personality or coolness with the people that you aren't interested in, and almost like treat the people you are interested in that way. I feel like that's almost the secret.
Yeah, it's
but
like
it's respecting your life first.
Guys crazy.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It does.
I'm sure.
It's like all. It's like.
But it's the same for guys. It is the same for guys.
Yeah,
I have definitely liked guys.
I think there's a different way of. I think getting to where what you guys are saying is, I think there's a way to get there without having to like overanalyze what's too much, what's not enough, and all that. And I think that is, and this is something I learned the hard way. I was always, if I liked a girl, it was like full court press, and sometimes that pushes a girl away. But then you're like, oh, they just want a guy who's an asshole, and then that's not
true.
Not genuine. You're like not texting when you want to text. And I think the way I've kind of figured it out for myself is everybody wants to date up in a way, it doesn't, it's not always,
they want value.
Yeah.
And quality.
I would never date a girl that is on my level of attractiveness because I think
she's too attractive.
I'd be like, that's gross. You know what I mean? Like I'm always like, I can do better than what I think I am at.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think for girls, it's not always just about like hot, whereas guys, I think that's the kind of the initial approach. Mm-hmm. And so girls want to date up, and if that's having value, and if you're a valuable person who's like hardworking and has dreams and is going for something, then you're not around to just text all the time.
Exactly.
Right. So I think it's like you don't have to be an asshole. You just have to
have a life. Actually,
you have to have a life.
Like a real
don't
one.
make her the most important thing in your life. She can be the most important thing in your life,
but she has to also earn that as well.
Exactly.
You don't even know her yet.
Don't make her the most important thing in your life on your first date or on your second date. Like build it.
Your life exists before
that
her. Don't throw it out the window.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like we're saying that like, oh, we want you to wait a while, or we want you to kind of like, we want to have that like, oh my god, I don't know if he likes me or not. But like on the other side, it's like if you are just like in the back of our minds, that's probably what's happening. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, they have a life, they have other things to do. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not like this. I'm not the only thing he has going on or whatever.
Well, we
and
have
that's attractive, you know?
David Buss on our show. We've had him on a couple of times, and David Buss wrote one book called The Evolution of Desire, which looks at the biological and evolutionary reasoning behind attraction. And he breaks down the attributes for men and for women of what they're actually attracted to. So men have like 3 attributes they're attracted to. Women have 18. But at the very top of all of the 18, what he found that people are attracted to across like the world, he interviewed people in like tribes in Africa and like New York City and compared them, like 10,000 people. So it's really interesting. But he found that what they're attracted to, ultimately women, is men who bring them closer to resources. Not money, but men who bring them closer to resources, like what Joe was just saying. Yeah, but the thing is that if you're texting all the time and we have a drought, you're not working on finding us water. Like that's the thing. They are attracted to men who have drive, have intelligence, have status, who do have all of these things in place. And if you have all of these things in place, then you're not texting us every 2 seconds because you have a life to tend to that they can choose to fit you into, which feels amazing. Ultimately, and this is what I teach to the guys that I work with, women want to be admired by a man that makes them feel special, but a man who also has his own life that's special.
Yeah.
It's not like
Oh
you're
my
special
God.
because you
Absolutely.
exist. It's like I'm awesome. I have a great life, and I could potentially want to bring you into it. We
Right.
want to
Yeah.
be valued by a man that's valued.
Absolutely.
And that's the most addicting feeling in the entire world, being selected and chosen by somebody who we see as higher value. Exactly what you were saying
heroin
before.
addict that.
Exactly.
No heroin.
Yeah, but we got to wrap up our show. So
Tell us
thank you
where
so
we can
much.
find you
Thank
guys.
you.
I know we asked them last week, but tell us again where
double
everyone
plug.
can watch your YouTube
I know.
videos.
It's youtube.com/20s30s.
Okay, cool. And then how about individually? You guys have Twitters?
Yes, my handle is at LizBenham22.
And mine is Deanna with 2 N's, G McDonald.
But don't tweet her because she doesn't like to talk on the internet.
I won't talk to her, but
40
just
characters.
follow me.
Exactly. Just follow her. And then Joe.
And I'm on Twitter at FixYourLife, joeprano.com for all comedic stuff. And I did want to mention, I forgot last show, 2 of your previous guests I also have podcasts with.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So I have a sports podcast with Andy Ruther called Dirty Sports, and a surfing and comedy podcast with Lachlan Patterson called The Kooks of Comedy.
You know what I thought when I saw that podcast? I'm like, I've never met a funny surfer before. But it's a funny podcast.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
There are no funny surfers.
They have no audience whatsoever.
That's our niche.
Right.
We're the 2 of them.
Well, I always pictured these like outdoorsy, look at me outside people. I don't know.
Right,
Anyway.
like cracking jokes with each other.
Yeah.
If you want to write in questions for Overanalyze This, write them to ask@askwomenpodcast.com. And you can check out or download new episodes of our podcast every Thursday, but don't waste your time downloading. Please subscribe to our podcast. It's the Ask Women Podcast. You can get it on iTunes. And you want to plug yourself, Kristen, since you seem to like
Follow me on Twitter.
doing it? Yeah, follow her on Twitter.
At Kristen Carney.
Yes, and use our Amazon link so that we can stay on the air. winggirlmethod.com/Amazon. And thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys
up
next
the song.
week. I know, exactly. It's done. I'm an overtalker. All right, bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Ask Women podcast. Go to podcastone.com next week for a brand new show.